we're going to push it in there a little bit. And then at some other point, I mean, if it's not going to stick, then I can come back and silicone it in later.
We can sell tickets if you like. I think that's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Tell me about the initials in the concrete.
So that's for Jill and Prudence, and that's for me and Hannah, my dog, and that's how we met. That's how we both met Jay.
Good.
You're the dog friend. Yeah.
Okay. So how was your shuttle ride? Anonymous, this is a great Susie.
Can't express how much I miss my dad. He wasn't a perfect dad, but he was a great dad. He came and got me late at night when my car battery died. He always answered the phone so I could stay awake driving home from the night shift, even if he was still in bed himself. He spent 3 months doing all the tile work in our house, which turned out beautifully. I know many of you have beautiful handiwork in your house as well. Most of you probably know that my dad was an animal lover and somewhat of an animal whisperer. He always connected with animals. He never met a dog he didn't like or a dog that didn't love him. He took great care of my dog. Everyone knew Cash, and many of you know that I originally got him in college. When I started my first nursing job, I asked Dad to take care of him while I was working 12-hour night shifts and living in a studio apartment. When I tried to take him back, it was really obvious whose dog he really was. He also loved all my horses over the years and went riding with me even though it scared him. He hauled my horse around and could back a trailer better than anyone. He would talk to the horses as if they were his friends, and though he didn't know much about handling them, they always got along together. He taught me how to fish, and more importantly, to always wet my hands before touching the fish. He taught me how to ski, how to listen to good music, and too many other things to list. My dad was caring and stubborn at the same time. Many times it was his way or the highway, and he wasn't afraid to tell you that. When cleaning out his house, I found many file folders that he'd written notes on. Some had hours worked on or calculations for the job he was on, and many had scriptures on them. My favorite one had a few of his beliefs about himself. He wrote to always be honest with yourself and with everyone else. He also wrote that he enjoyed helping people even if it didn't fit into his schedule. That was him. He'd help anyone in any way that he could, even if it meant he didn't get his own things done. I remember him stopping once and taking his coat off to give it a homeless man. I don't think I will ever meet someone whose heart is as big as his. Because of this, I know he's watching over all of us between catching the big ones.
Hi, you guys. Thank you guys for all coming out.
175 days without Jay. And like many of us here, our dogs brought us together. Cash, my dog Hannah, and Steve, who some of you know, his dog Tyler, and we were all fast friends. And like many of us here, Cash and Jay helped me. First it was a fence project. We jotted it out over one of these picnic tables here, and then another fence project, and then another project, and last night I was talking to Emily and Andrew, and he said he talked a lot about me, but what I remember on my end of the conversation with Jay was one of them would call and they'd ask him, "What are you doing?" And he'd say, "Oh, I'm helping Deanne with pick a project." So it was always helping me with something. But early on in the beginning, we became friends. I would make him teach me when he was helping me with all my projects how to use a power tool, the right way to roll up an extension cord, and how to ground an electrical outlet. He could do anything except work on computers, which is how I was able to help him. He was usually my first call for anything bad or good. "Hey, you want to go to Costco? The dog park? Popsicle? Taco Tuesday?" That's the text that I would always get from him every week. I miss those mundane texts. And since he left, I am so grateful that his co-parent, Margie, there you are, and Andrew and Emily have invited me to spend some time with them. I've learned so much about Jay that I didn't know. And I so see Jay, you guys, his kindness and his generosity and his mischievousness. Jay helped me get through life, and I just miss being able to sit with him on his back patio, having some inane conversation about nothing, or just being able to just sit there and not say anything at all and be comfortable in it. So let's just honor Jay always, especially at this park that he tried so desperately to save for all of us and our dogs, the chief of the poop patrol, and help keep this park clean. You've all been deputized to yell at all those people who don't pick up after their dogs. So your motto is pick up after yourself and somebody else, okay? Thank you. One more thing, so stories. Anybody have stories they want to share, please?
Hi, my name's Dan. I met Jay in a dark alley. His alley, actually. I was invited on his drift boat to go fly fish with him at Gray Reef. I'd never met this guy before, and the first thing he says to me is, "Who the Hell are you? And why are you in my dark alley?" I explained to him that I was going fishing with him for the day. Well, I had just started my fly fishing adventure, and this is about 15 years ago, and he had just bought a brand new boat and wanted to go float it some. So we get on the boat. Well, he actually made me drive by myself up there. He's like, "You're not riding with me." He was kind of cantankerous a little bit, and it was one where I was kind of scratching my head like, how did I get roped into this boat with this guy? We get on the rope on the water, and I don't know anything about being on a drift boat or etiquette or anything like that. And I'm looking up the river, and he's like, "Dan, fish the right side of the boat." So I cast off on the left side, and he proceeds to look at me like, okay, this guy's an idiot. And he's like, "No, turn around." There's some cuss words in there, I'm not going to say them. And fish off the right side of the boat. And I literally turned around, made one cast, and had a fish on. He was an amazing fisherman and an amazing human, to say the least, by judging by everybody that's here and this great park. He's going to be missed by all of us. I just did a fly fishing tournament last weekend, and several of the spots him and I had fished together. Not during the tournament, but just recreational, out having a great time. And he taught me how to dead drift. I know that's a fly fishing term a lot of you don't know, but he taught me it. He taught me it well, and it upped my game 1,000% on fly fishing. Just really miss him. I had a message from him the Friday before he passed away. we had talked a few days before and everything seemed to be fine. So I didn't even listen to the message. So the next morning, Saturday morning, as he passed away, I was standing in the river fishing, catching a carp, which him and I had chased many carp together. Got home and somebody called me and said, "Have you heard about Jay?" I've like, "Heard what?" He explained to me what happened. Then I listened to the message, and it was heart-wrenching. He wanted to say goodbye to me, and we never got to say goodbye to each other. I've lost 3 really good buddies in the last 2 years. Get out there to your families that you love, hug them, your friends that you haven't talked to in a while, talk to them. Stay up on them. You just don't know what might happen. I miss you, Jay, and I really miss you, Cash, too. You're a great dog. Thanks for not biting me when I stuck a fly in you. A big fly in you. You took it like a true gentleman. Thank you all for being here.
I have to tell you, I met Jay here at this park. Me and Jay became fast friends because of Cash and my boy. And we spent so many hours at this park picking up dog poop. He became my park angel. We called him our poop angel. We were going to have a shirt made for him because he would follow us to every cleanup that we did. And he'd show up and spend the whole time with us. He wouldn't leave till we were done. And at this in particular park, we were getting a little bit of grief. Jay actually brought his rake and his shovel, and he put all of the chips and mulch back into every tree and made this park shine so there was no issues. He was absolutely an amazing man. You know, we had our yearly meeting, and he showed up and he was like, "Oh, you're running a little low on food." And I was like, "Well, we didn't know how many to expect." And he's like, "Oh, I got you." He pulls his truck up next to the side of the park, pops down the tailgate, pulls out a grill, lights it up, grabs a cooler, starts cooking hot dogs on the back of his tailgate. Like, he was the most resourceful person that I'd met, and absolutely genuine as a friend. And he was just a very special guy to a lot of us. And I wish I could have said goodbye. You know, he used to drive by my house 2-3 times a week. You know, Cash sitting in the front seat with his head out, and we'd wave. But I'm sad that I didn't get to say goodbye. But I appreciate everything that he did for us. That's all I got.
Hi there, I'm Beth Lucas, and Jay is my cousin. And so his dad was my mom's sister. And we grew up in Kansas City, and I have 4 other siblings, so we had a family of 5, and they had a family of 5. And when we were younger, we used to come out and go camping. So we pulled our pop-up camper behind us and drove from Kansas City to Colorado. And we got to see all of our cousins. I was a little bit younger than most of my cousins, but except for Marianne. She was more my age. I was always really excited to see Marianne and just the whole family. And just we would camp in their driveway for who knows how long. You know, when you're a kid, you just don't know. Could have been weeks, but probably just a couple days. And then we would go up to Estes Park. And so that's how I remember their family. And just Jay just was smiley and funny and always pulling pranks, and it just was always fun. We always looked forward to coming out and visiting them. And then fast forward, we moved out here, my husband and I, to Colorado about 14 years ago, and we needed work done on our house. So Jay came over and just did tons of stuff, and he had Sam with him at first, and just practically lived with us because he just did so much at our house. And I was always kind of his semi-apprentice and just worked with him, but he just was meticulous and just a wonderful craftsman and just wanted to do everything right. And he was just so fun to be around. We just joked around, and I kind of helped him. So, I thought I was helping him, but I don't know. So he just was a great guy, and just, then we would have a beer after he worked, or he'd have dinner with us, and we just really got to know him and just loved him. And when he was in the hospital, I went and saw him several times when he got sick, and I didn't know when the last time was that I was going to see him, but I had gotten a text from one of his family members that he had passed away, and I hadn't seen it, and we were actually up in the mountains skiing, and when I looked at that text, we were actually on our way up the mountain, and it was just kind of a cool time to receive that sad message, but just kind of neat that we were on our way up the mountain. And I just know he loved skiing. I went skiing with him one time, and I just know he was a fabulous skier. And so anyway, we all miss him, and whenever something would break down at our house or we needed it repaired, I remember my son saying, "Better call Jaybird." So anyway, we miss him and love him. Thank you.
I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Jay deserves a eulogy from his brother. And nobody's on this earth has known him longer than I have. And we grew up together. I remember the day he was born. He had the biggest head. And it's been a joke all his life. Your hair's got big head. I mean physically big. We looked at him like... Anyway. Yeah, we spent our lives together. We worked together. We skied together. We fished together. We did everything brothers do, and I appreciate everybody being here to honor him today.
Hi everyone, I'm Jill, and my dog is the one that runs around to celebrate Jay. Her name is Prudence, and she and Cash were very good friends. Every weekend, without fail, no matter if it was sub-zero or burning hot, Jay and I met at Centennial Lake and walked our two dogs together. We talked about life. I shared some very personal, emotional stuff with him, and he was a giant support to me. And he shared about his children often. And we bickered also. Just about every topic you could think of. Politics, religion, all the things you're not supposed to talk about. In the months leading up to his death, when Jay was unable to go out for his walks, I would go pick up Cash and take him to the lake. And it was a great honor to be able to do that for Jay. I truly felt so special that he trusted me with Cash, because Cash was his life after his children. And I'll never forget the first time I took Cash. He was a little apprehensive, but as soon as we turned the corner and headed toward the lake, he put his head on my shoulder and just was so excited. And Cash was getting old too. As soon as we got out of the car, he ran like a puppy, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the best. Those are the big memories that I have of Jay. And he also did some incredible work on my home. Built my dog her own little patio outside the dog door. and installed the dog door. And whenever I say, I have to try and be careful not to say Uncle Jay because her ears perk up. But he'll always live in our hearts. And at this bench, Deanne, you just did an amazing job with it. It's the most beautiful bench in the park, and it should be. So thank you all for coming to honor Jay.
So this is from all these guys. As soon as Jay would arrive here, I'm Elke, would arrive at the park, we'd see the white truck drive up, and Puck, anyway, would immediately run over to see Jay and follow him around for the time that he's here because of these treats. And so right before I lost Puck, Jay had bought this for me, so I thought, this is the right place to be.
Hi, I'm the co-parenter, as Deanne mentioned. That's what I know. We came up with that because X just didn't sound right, and Jay and I always remained friends. I just want you all to know about what it's been like since Jay passed. I've learned so much about him and his life with the children and his travels, and he was really an exceptional person. But the one thing that stands out most to me about Jay is the way he chose to die. He knew that he couldn't get well. It was very clear. And so what he did, I don't know if you guys know, is he called and texted many of his friends and invited them to the hospital on the day that he had chosen to die. And so many people showed up. We all spent some time with Jay. And then it was time, and he called it as the time. Can you imagine how brave he was? He chose the time, and when the oxygen came off his face, you could see that his belief in God and Jesus was right there. His face just relaxed, and he was beautiful. It took a little time, but I knew, and I think everybody in the room knew, that he had gone to a better place. I've got to tell you one thing about Jay is today, just by coincidence, the park was cleaned up of all the poop. So there he is. He's still with us. He's still keeping the park clean. You know, God bless all of you, and thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
And I can't follow such a deep experience that has to do with Jay. So I'm hoping to leave you all with something lighthearted and fun to know about him. As many of you, he helped me with a lot of things around my home over the years. And if any of you have ever been a single woman owning a home, you know that is indispensable support. He always, I think, didn't ask to be paid, and I was like, no, I'm paying you. And the biggest thing that he helped me do was put in my washer and dryer. And it's in a basement, and so it was extremely hard to get down there. And no one would help me. And his boyfriend at the time just like would turn and kind of whistle and look into the air and pretend like he didn't hear me. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just keep plugging away at finding somebody to help me. And so, of course, Jay did help me. And you know, over the years, we've all had our dogs get old and pass away, and that washer and dryer is still going strong in my basement. And now that I have a partner who does help me with all of those things, I think it's great that Jay leaves these impactful pieces of our lives for us to remember him by. And I mean, I kind of wish that I would have gotten to know him better in all the ways that you guys have. But one thing I will know that I knew was that, so I'm Deanne's neighbor, and I would walk by many times, and they would literally just be as she described, sitting silently or working silently on any project. And I think it really warms my heart to, when I heard that he passed away, I said, your friendship, I'm just so glad that you guys had that friendship. And now that I hear about all these other friendships that he's had with you all, it really makes me feel good that he had all that love in his life. I'm Jay's sister. I'm not going to say much about Jay because we all know how wonderful he was and what a wonderful brother he was and father. But I have a fun story. It's a dog story. We have a dog, Kona, who's probably a little smaller, about the same size as this dog. And Kona is funny because she loved Jay, as usual. And when we take her to the dog park or whatever, we would put her in the Explorer and, we open the hatch and she'd kind of look at us like, well, you need to boost me up, I need help getting into this car. So we'd help her. But when Jay would come over with his big, huge truck, he would tell Kona to get into the car, and she would jump, and it would be onto the seat of his big, huge, without even thinking about it. And it's just such a fun thing. That dog loved Jay, as all dogs do. So that's it. Thank you.
Kona was Brown Dog.
I'm Kevin, and I was one of Jay's ski buddies. And that meant we ignored each other all summer. He wouldn't even return my calls in the summer. So I noticed there's some Crown Royal over here. And I'd heard that he drank Crown Royal. And I got a new pair of ski goggles. And as you know, Crown comes in a velvet bag. And they make excellent place to put your ski goggles. And so I asked Jay, I was over at his house, do you have an extra Crown Royal bag I can have for my goggles? And he goes, well, what kind of goggles? Well, they're Smith goggles. And this turned into an interview to see if I was worthy enough for one of his Crown Royal bags. And eventually I convinced him. He opens up a kitchen cabinet entirely full of Crown Royal bags. There must have been 100 of them that fall out. So I took 2.
Alright, well I'll say we're going to eat, and then, I think we can share during lunch too if anyone has something that is like, oh, I gotta say this. So, I'm Andrew, I'm his son. I think most of you guys probably know me. I do have some notes. But yeah, thank you. This is incredible, and there's a lot of people that couldn't make it, or just with everything going on, didn't feel safe. But thank you for all your guys' support and coming here. Thank you to Emily and Bo. Have done so much, and Deanne's done Deanne's done more than anyone with the beautiful bench, and Jen's helped out, and so many of you guys have made this so special and a lot easier than it could have been. This is going to be hard for me to get through, so bear with me, and I'll try to be brief. My dad taught me a lot. I think there's probably not a week or even a day that really goes by where I'm doing something that he taught me to do. And a lot of times people will ask me, how are you so good at this? And usually it has something to do with my dad. He taught me a lot of life's lessons. Oh, man, this is going to be hard. I'm sorry. Anywhere from growing up and going to the field and throwing the ball around, or teaching me to drive. I worked with him a couple summers and worked on the house together, and there's just so many things he taught me to do with just being handy, and that's kind of how we spent time together, whether it was working on something or going out fishing was kind of one of our shared passions. We had so many good times on the river, and how to shoot a gun, how to back a trailer, like, taught both of us that. There's just stuff that reminds me so often of him, which is so cool that he left me with that. Sorry, I don't mean to cry, but just to be left with that has been really special. I think one of the main things too is just he's taught me how to be adventurous. Going up and fishing different waters or floating the boat down the Colorado or the North Platte up in Wyoming. We had, it's just so many memories on the boat, and he was so crafty, and like how he showed up here with the cooler and brats and his grill and everything. That's my dad. Like, he was always prepared. I try to be as prepared as he was. I'm still working on it, but we went on so many adventures. Those are our best times together. And one adventure, my favorite memory of my dad is there's this secret spot up in Wyoming where we'd go fishing, and we were like in uncharted waters. It was like, it's somewhere on the North Platte River, and and you have to hike into this canyon, and we're like, man, I don't think anyone's ever done this before, and so we kind of figure out how to ease our way down, and we're hugging, against the cliff, and there's the water on this side, and who knows how deep it is, and we get up there, and we had the best day fishing we've ever had. The quantity and the size of the fish were nothing that I'd ever really experienced before, and it was just a lot of the memories like that, of what he taught me and the experiences that we had, that it just was our real special time together. And it's hard, it's hard for me. I just miss him a lot, and want to call him and say hi, and want to call him and talk to him about fishing. Or he was the first one I'd call to get advice on something, or ask him how to do this or that on my car, or where I should go fishing, what I should tie on, what size building material I needed for whatever project. So it's hard to kind of transition into this new time, and it was really, the thing I missed too a lot was, even just, I was thinking about it last night, like even like him fighting in the hospital, going through lung cancer, and just how brave he was through it, and how hard he fought. And we would go to the hospital, and whoever got there first would bring him coffee, and we'd sneak in a little Crown every now and then. Oh, Bailey's, yeah. Crown on special occasions like Christmas. Thanks to Jen. And it was really neat to get to know him in the hospital more, and the cool thing that I got to know is I got to know his relationship with Jesus more too, of just how close they were, and how he knew where he was going, and how how he had no fear. And I think what my mom shared of just how he was ready when he went. But it was fun. We prayed a ton in the hospital, and prayed for his blood pressure to change, and it would change quite often when we pray for it, and also just to show who he was, of just being so caring. All the time he'd be like, "Oh gosh, we need to be praying for the people on this hall and the person next door," and it was never about himself. It was always about other people, and about the dog park, and about Emily and I, and about his dogs and my dog and everything. So I miss that a lot. Kind of rambling a little bit, but I'll bring it together. And so through missing him, though, that's the thing that I hold on to, is just that I know where he's at, and it's so awesome just to think. He had a rough go in the last through his sickness, and just to be rid of being sick and being rid of all the crud that goes on in the hospital and all the stresses of work and life and everything, and cancer and an old deteriorating body. And it's so cool to think he's up there and in heaven, and he's he doesn't have to deal with any of that anymore. Is what always takes me out of my sadness when I don't cry a whole lot. I usually get something in my eyeball and then it waters a lot. But when I have that thing in my eye, I just think about my dad being up there, and he's just so I tell myself he's proud of me, he's proud of all you guys, of how he's made a positive influence on our lives. So I think that came together kinda. You guys ready to eat? Okay, well, we're gonna real quick, we'll dedicate the bench that you guys, a lot of people donated. Dan kind of spearheaded it all. You guys heard that. There are pamphlets on the bench that somebody designed. They're awesome. So you guys should grab one. And then, what else am I forgetting? We have a ton of food. We have a ton of food. So, should we hold the ribbon real quick? Okay. Now the bench is officially open. Hold on. All right, we just food real quick, and then we will dig in and continue sharing stories, and hope to catch up with everyone here. Hand sanitizer here, and then I think there's 2 over by the food. You guys are awesome. Yeah, move chairs around as you please. You guys look awesome in your masks. Cool. All right, let's bow our heads. Oh yeah, and there is a server, so we'll try to do as hands-free as we can, just to to socially distance. And there is cake as well, so hopefully we don't run out. But we've got a ton of food. So all right, cool. All right, Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for today. Thank you for this beautiful park and this bench that just pays such a good tribute to my dad. Thank you for the blessing that he was to all these people here, to myself, my sister. Thank you for just the amazing father that you gave us, amazing friend, amazing brother, amazing animal lover and whisperer. Yeah, God, you're just so good for giving us, and we just rejoice, we celebrate, and we just love to think that he's up there looking down on us, and there's a party up there for him right now too. So we rejoice in his life and where he is now. Thank you for today. Thank you for this food. May bless our bodies. Keep us safe. Keep us healthy as well, God. All these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you.